When a referee makes a decision today after going to instant replay, they usually say one of three things. They'll say that the call on the field is confirmed, the call on the field stands, or the call on the field has been reversed or overturned or changed. It's a nice, easy, simple way of explaining things. If the call on the field is confirmed, then the call was pretty obvious. If the call stands, then there was no indisputable video evidence to overturn the decision that the referee made at first. And if the call was changed, then it means that the initial call was wrong and there was enough video evidence to change it. All in all, it's a pretty straightforward system. But it didn't always used to be like this. Terminology that is commonplace in instant replay today, like confirmed and overturned, was not always around. The reason why we see those terms today comes from an egregious officiating error and a miscommunication that changed instant replay forever. This is the story of the play and the awful call that single-handedly changed the sport for decades. Now, before talking about the game itself, let's just take a brief dive into the history of instant replay at the time. The league had been thinking about this experiment since the mid-1970s, and they tried it out in a few preseason games during the 1978 season. But due to high costs and technology that simply wasn't there yet, nothing ever came of this. Nick Skorich, the assistant supervisor of officials at the time, said that they needed a minimum of 12 cameras to get all the angles on every play, and that electronically, they didn't know if they were advanced enough yet. So the idea was scrapped for a few years. But in 1985, replay was brought back. It was used for some preseason games, and the results were much better. The results were so promising, in fact, that the following year in 1986, 23 of the 28 owners voted in favor of instant replay for the regular season. Now, there wouldn't be any challenges under this system. Instead, everything would be initiated upstairs by the replay official or by officials on the field if they couldn't make up their minds. Everything about this system was brand new in 1986. So to say that there were a lot of kinks that had to be worked out would be an understatement, as we will see in a bit. This takes us to this game.
Today, from Arrowhead Stadium, it's the Los Angeles Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
October 5th, 1986. Week 5 of the NFL season between two divisional rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Raiders. This is a big game for both of these teams. The AFC West is a hotly contested battle through 4 weeks, with the Broncos sitting atop the division at 4-0, and the Chiefs and the Seahawks right behind at 3-1. Los Angeles, meanwhile, is sitting at 1-3. A win by Kansas City keeps them neck and neck for the division title, and a loss by the Raiders puts a giant dent in their postseason hopes. In a cruel twist of fate, the very first play of the game had to be decided by instant replay. On the opening kickoff, Stephon Adams looked like he fumbled the ball, and Kansas City recovered. However, the referees ruled Adams down, which seemed to be the right call after instant replay, much to the dismay of the crowd at Arrowhead Stadium, which was sold out for the first time in 3 years. Now, this didn't end up mattering, as the defense forced a 3-and-out, Raiders punter Ray Guy fumbled the ball, and the Chiefs scored 3 points on their opening drive thanks to the good field position. Kansas City then scored again later in the first quarter on an 18-yard run by Boyce Green to make it a 10-0 game, and then to open up the second quarter, Todd Blackledge found Paul Kaufman from 1 yard out to make it 17-0. Kansas City was coming off of 2 straight victories, including a fourth quarter rally against Buffalo the week before, and now they had a 3-possession lead in the first half at home, in a place where, dating back to last season, they had won 5 straight games. They had all the momentum on their side. It would take an absolute miracle for the Raiders to get back into this game. And sure enough, they got one. Play the footage.
He just strode right over a Kansas City lineman. Raiders challenging for the first time in the game. They trail 17-0 in the second quarter. End zone, Williams, touchdown Raiders. Yoki Williams is in on the payoff end of a perfectly timed throw by Mark Wilson. And so the Raiders, after their awful start, come alive now.
Now, what you just saw was a touchdown pass thrown by Mark Wilson to Doki Williams. Williams was one of the better receivers in football that season. He caught a career-high 8 touchdown passes, which ranked inside the top 10 of the league, and this play was one of them. Except, when you go to instant replay, it's very clearly not a touchdown catch. The first foot is in. The second foot, however, is clearly out of bounds. Now, there was a force-out rule in 1986, where if a defender pushed a receiver out of bounds who was in bounds at the time, the receiver would still get credit for the catch. But I'm not sure if that applies here. Because you know who else didn't think that the force-out rule applied here? Jack Reeder, who was the video replay official who was in the press box for this game. Reeder was an experienced official in professional football for quite some time. He knew what he was doing. He worked the first ever AFL game in 1960 between the Denver Broncos and the Boston Patriots. He was the back judge at 2 Super Bowls. And he had been an officiating supervisor in the NFL for over 15 years at this point. He did not think this play was a catch. So when the video review was initiated, Reeder saw the play, and he buzzed down to umpire John Keck to give his ruling. Reeder said, "Pass incomplete." And Keck thought that he said, "Passes complete." This miscommunication was absolutely critical. It gave the Raiders a touchdown that they did not deserve. After the game, Reeder said that he said that the pass was incomplete and that there was a miscommunication. He said, "I looked at the replay again just to make sure, and then I hear the whistle and looked up and tried to get him. But the play was over and there was nothing I could do." Umpire John Keck said that he misheard Reeder's message and that he was simply repeating back what he thought he heard. Instead of hearing pass incomplete, he heard pass is complete. It's not like that play would wind up mattering in the end though, right? Oh wait, the Raiders wound up scoring 24 unanswered points and won the game by a touchdown. Yeah, that's not good.
One play that will be most controversial, and it could be headlines, was the first Raider touchdown today, and here it is.
Could be.
Wilson drops to throw. You'll see Doki Williams run an out pattern in the corner of the end zone. Albert Lewis is with him, and the ball is caught, but the other foot is out. One foot was in, one foot was out. Now, in the press box, it was reviewed a number of times by the NFL officials here, and we were then informed while the touchdown stood that there was a miscommunication with the field, that they called down and said it was incomplete. The official on the field construed it to be complete. The Raider touchdown went, and the Raiders, with a 7-point margin right now, set to run out the clock if they can with 1:22 to play and get their second win in a row after 3 straight losses.
Now after the game, as you can probably imagine, there was a lot of outrage around the league. Chiefs cornerback Albert Lewis said that he couldn't understand how something like that even happened. He said that when the other team scores a touchdown, he would like for it to be legitimate. One writer said that the instant replay experiment by the NFL had turned high tech into low comedy. Tex Schramm of the Dallas Cowboys said that he was fed up. And at this point, it was up to the commissioner's office to get going and make this thing work. And Chiefs head coach John Malkovich said that he felt stinking lousy, saying, "We bring these people in and pay them. Then when it's all said and done, we can't even get it correctly communicated on the field." The only one who thought they got the call right was Raiders head coach Tom Flores, who jokingly said, "Doki said he was in, I'll go along with Doki. They called it a touchdown, and that's what counts." Now who knows whether or not the Chiefs blow a 17-point lead if the play is ruled correctly. There was still plenty of time left in the game. The Raiders still probably would have scored on that drive, whether it would be a touchdown or a field goal. And at the end of the day, the Chiefs did go the entire second half without scoring a single point. But obviously, allowing this touchdown that shouldn't have counted definitely didn't help their cause. And the ripple effect from this game was absolutely costly. The Chiefs wound up losing the AFC West to Denver by 1 game, and they were forced to play on the road in the wildcard round against the New York Jets, instead of getting a bye automatically into the divisional round. Kansas City lost that wildcard game to New York by a final score of 35-15. So what did the league do to remedy this and prevent anything like this from ever happening again? Well, the walkie-talkies that were used to communicate between the officials upstairs and the officials on the field were replaced with pagers and radio headsets. And instead of incomplete or is complete, the league used the terms I talked about at the beginning of the video, saying things like confirmed, stands, and overturned. This one touchdown by Doki Williams in the second quarter of a regular season game might not look like much at first, but it wound up changing the course of NFL history for the next 3 decades and potentially many decades into the future.